Hey there. Have you ever asked yourself the question, I like this video game, but can I make it almost unbearably painful to play? I ask myself that all the time. That's what this video is all about. When you're adventuring in a world of pals, and you've only got 500 base HP, this is what happens. This is Palworld, for me at least. This is the second episode in a series where I follow a couple of dumb rules. 5x damage to players, no leveling HP ever, no mods, only the worst armor is allowed. The goal? Defeat all 5 tower bosses and catch all the legendaries. And hey, we actually see the legendaries this episode. After the defeat of Lily last episode, I was riding high. I was excited. I could level up. I could explore. The whole world was at my fingertips. Finally do something different. I'm thinking I keep going north to that tower over there. Yeah. And immediately died. See, this death was one of several that I've endured that are special in a way. I died kind of far from a teleport waypoint in an area with lots of aggressive pals, and I'm usually determined to run back naked with no protection. And then of course there are pals camping my things. Sometimes I'll make new temperature resistant gear to deal with the cold or heat, but that doesn't really do anything when there are bees literally exploding on me. But this was far from my worst experience getting to where I died. Sometimes it's taken me as many as 3 or 4 deaths to get my stuff back. At least on my second attempt here, those friggin' bees aren't there to kill me again. I do get a kick out of them though. Mother Nature in all her glory. There was no time to waste. I set off to the north, flying across chasms, climbing cliffs, desperate for fast travel points. The forest was filled with high-level pals and even higher-level humans. Pal Genetic Research Unit Executioner. Soon, me and my my dog, I rode my persona to the... they're gonna think I'm a furry. We reached the snowy northern forests of the Astral Mountains. I took a direct approach, hopping on my Nightwing and flying up the side of the mountain. It wasn't always easy. Damn it. But after taking a detour around the western side, I was finally up. We made it to the PAL Genetic Research Unit Tower. I headed inside, determined to face my next boss, and... Okay, we're not going to talk about that one. I think I'm gonna do something else and not come back to this tower for a long time. I continued my journey northwest, curious about the massive tree in the distance. I flew over ancient ruins and avoided more dangerous pals until I hit the water, and I started to cross the channel. But the game doesn't seem to be developed past this point yet. Too bad. I turned around. I needed goals. I needed direction. And if this new tower was way too strong for me, then there are 2 other towers, right? Time to find them. But before I did that, I needed to not be level 26. I caught a bunch of pals to level up, died to stuff that's barely even my fault. I just loaded in. And died to stuff that's definitely my fault. I don't know why I thought this would work against a crowd. I hit level 29, made a handgun, and headed east, into the desert. I found dune shelter, and bought some useful temperature items, and flew up to the nearby PIDF tower. There, Marcus, leader of the PIDF, waited for me. Our first battle was truly remarkable. With 146,000 health, he was probably too strong for me right now. So I decided to head west. Maybe the other tower was a little more forgiving. By this point, I was getting really tired of my slow-flying Nightwing. But I persevered all the way up the lava until I got to the tower. Outside, there was a beleaguered Reptyro being harassed by the fire weirdos, so in my infinite generosity, I captured him. And then immediately died. Notice how he's a musclehead? That will be important later. I entered the tower to find Axel and Orserk. At 130,000 HP, he was my next target, the true third boss. I died, and quickly. But I had my new goal. Orserk was going down. After trying on some silly hats, I got to work. I'd like to point out that here, I'm level 29. How long do you think it's gonna be before I take Orserk down? Let's just say this was not a short process. To keep progressing, I needed to continue to improve my base and add new buildings. It has come to my attention that I need electricity. So I gotta build one of these. I need a sphere assembly line, I'll need a production assembly line. Yeah. I needed electric organs, and I didn't have a pal that dropped them at the ranch, which meant I had to go hunting. Hunting in a pure and natural way. Thing is, it's a bit more efficient to catch a pal first and then butcher them, rather than kill them outright. So I got to work.
Isn't life so amazing? Sometimes it can get crazy, but hey, that's okay. We've got another day to make mistakes and say sorry. There's no sense in our worry, 'cause all we can do is try our best to make it through with love.
2 more for the meat grinder. I started work on the power generator and the sphere assembly line, and got caught by another inconvenient death. I rolled! I wasn't happy about it. This one might not look that far, right? Yeah, it's not too far. Guess how many attempts this one took? This area is full of aggressive pals that attack you at range, and aggressive humans that attack you at range. But the real killer was arrogance. Apparently, I love taking risks, which includes immediately trying to attack and capture pals once I got my stuff back, and then dying. Once I got my life back in order, I started to think about the future. Orserk was not something I was going to take on anytime soon. I needed levels, which means I needed balls. I decided to craft 100 hyperspheres and see how far that got me. To further increase efficiency with getting new pals, I created a row of 6 incubators so I could hatch more eggs at one time. I built a minecart in my mining base, and I started gathering materials. This also happens to be the reason that I can say that I have died to a time lapse. I built a production assembly line, died a bunch more times catching pals, and finally got to level 33. Level 33 was a level I've been waiting for a long time. Finally, I'll be able to craft a saddle for Jeff, my Hell Zephyr, and forever bench my super slow Nightwing. You were so slow. You were so slow. However, turns out I needed one more level and a bunch of coal. What the hell is a refined ingot? I can't even make this yet. The hell? I built an improved furnace, crafted the saddle, and I could finally get rid of this decrepit old Nightwing. God, I will not miss you. Yes, Jeff, let's go, my favorite pal. Let's go. You are not that much faster than Nightwing, huh? Refined ingots cost 2 ore and 2 coal. And while I had a base set up for mining ore, I had to mine coal manually. This was not my favorite thing to do, so I needed to find good coal patches to make my life a little easier. While I was running around looking for coal, this happened. There she is! Oh, hey girl. How you doing? Wait, where are you going? Oh, now I need you. Oh jeez, even humans have become the target of its debauchery. That was worse than I thought. I did eventually find 2 good coal patches, which I returned to frequently. Oh, hell yeah. I hit base level 15, which meant I could set up a 3rd base, and soon had one of the most annoying deaths yet. This wildlife reservation was far, and if I was so much as glanced at by the armed PIDF guards, I was going to get gunned down by teleporting armored men with assault rifles. And yet despite this, I somehow decided it was a great idea to keep trying my luck here. But once I was actually smart enough to leave, I started exploring again. I dove into a volcano, found a weird desert with cool pals, Ragnarok, and I found an Anubis statue. I explored more, caught a Wixen, caught a second Wixen when I realized how good they were. Man, Level 3 handiwork? And I just kept catching pals and dying. Is that you, Jesus Christ? Eventually, I unlocked the single-shot rifle and started taking a serious look at the sphere assembly line too. That's a lot of stuff I don't have. And I don't even know where to find quartz, so... Now I'm glossing over a lot of what has happened since level 29. A lot of time has passed, both in-game and out of game. It was on my 10th day of recording gameplay that I got to this moment. Yo, what up YouTube? In this episode, can we survive 100 days in Palworld? I built the sphere assembly line too after I managed to find a decent patch of quartz and started on a batch of 20 ultra spheres. By this point, my set of 100 hyperspheres is basically gone. That's how much time has passed and how many pals I've had to catch. But towards the end of this stint exploring all over the place, I finally found my first legendary. What? The legendary celestial dragon Jetragon. I was nowhere near being able to catch this thing, so I just left. I stumbled into a high-level dungeon and realized I could actually fight pretty well by now. With good positioning and general awareness of what the enemy was doing, I could engage with entire crowds of enemies. But after clearing out the first room of Syndicate members, I had a rude awakening. Is that... No. No, it can't be. I can't do this again. They want revenge. I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm not dying like those guys in Futurama.
You want die like last men visit Amazonia?
What'd they die of?
Crushed pelvises.
Yes!
Oh, thank you, Lord in heaven.
In all seriousness, I was starting to feel comfortable. While literally anything could kill me, I was also able to kill most things at my level and below pretty easily. I figured it was time to put some serious work into Axel and Orserk. Orserk seemed to be using electric and dragon moves, so I picked a pal that could resist electricity who also seemed to be relatively strong. Remember that musclehead Reptyro I captured? I slotted him into my team just to see how he'd do. In a minute and 24 seconds, Reptyro only managed to deal just under 6,000 damage. Now I can do some basic math. Okay, 200 carbon fiber, that means I'm gonna need like 2 coal per carbon fiber. 200 coal. I have to be doing 13,070 damage per minute. This Reptyro was nowhere close to what I needed. I messed around a bit to see if I could maybe find an AI trick to immobilize Orserk and make him harmless. I did at one point maybe see that it could be done, but I couldn't figure out a consistent method that trivialized the fight in the same way as Lily. Unfortunately, I had to fight Orserk and Axel fair and square. Oh, and as a side thing, at this point, I'd gotten enough materials to craft 100 Ultra Spheres. To give you an idea of the farming I had to do, this requires 1,000 iron ore, 1,000 coal, 300 cement, and 500 paldium. The coal, at least, was all mined by hand. Whatever billionaire I must have been in my past life, it's definitely not Margaret Thatcher, because apparently, I love coal miners. I decided to go back to Reptyro and change up his moves. I figured if he could have 2 hard-hitting attacks with long cooldowns, and 1 attack that he could use constantly, then he could always be doing good damage. I also upgraded his stats at the Statue of Power. Your pals take a lot of damage in these fights, so I used a Dinosaur Lux to absorb hits when Reptyro's health got low. Dinosaur Lux is good at this, as it has the same typing as most of Orserk's moves, Electric and Dragon. However, switching to the Dinosaur Lux is a massive DPS loss, so I needed him to be as strong as possible. I started searching for an Alpha Dinosaur Lux because, at the time, I believed they were stronger than regular pals. They aren't. Since the only location for finding Dinosaur Luxes was in the desert, I started there. After a full counterclockwise sweep of the desert, which included me finding 2 legendaries. Well, this is not exactly what I was looking for. I finally found a boss Dinosaur Lux and captured it after a very long fight. What? A pacifist? And it was weaker than the one that I had. Into the base forever. I captured a second one, this one with the burly body trait. I upgraded its stats and tried Orserk again. Figure out in the middle of the fight that it wasn't working out. This is just not working. Another failure, 3 times in a row. The most damage that I got was a measly 8,400 damage per minute. Something had to change in a big way. I did some more exploring to clear my head, catching a Wumpo, a Mammorest Christ, and also finding Frostallion, who I didn't even attempt to capture. I figured maybe I could capture it, but I didn't want to lean on a legendary pal this early on. However, I did find what could be considered a pseudo-legendary, Anubis, in the Twilight Dunes. I put in a serious effort to catch him, with my first attempt lasting a whopping 8 minutes, with him only getting down to about half his health. I died. I fucking died. Do you understand how far this spot is from any waypoint that I had? It took me 20 minutes to get back to my things. And then I died to a Toko right afterwards. Are you fucking kidding me? So I ran back a second time. No, I am Zen. The long odyssey back can no longer hurt me. I have achieved peace. It's over now. I figured if I was going to try catching a pal like Anubis, I was going to need a closer teleportation spot. So I threw down a nearby pal box. Unfortunately, trying to catch this guy sucked. I was just not strong enough to get his health down quickly. I resorted to trying to capture him with pure luck, which of course did not work. I needed something stronger to deal with him. At the time, I was operating under the mistaken assumption that the water type was strong against ground, so I went through the hassle of using my Dinason Lux to capture a Yormantide. Which actually worked. It wasn't even that bad, honestly. However, Yormantide got destroyed by Anubis, so instead I went after the Mammorest Alpha that's near the start of the game. That also didn't really work, but he was definitely better than the Yormantide for this. God damn it. I gave up on Anubis and went back to the drawing board. I tried fighting Orserk with the Wumpo that I caught, but even after upgrading his stats, he was still just matching the damage of my Reptyro. I gave up for the night and I went to bed. Fuck you all and see you tomorrow. I had no idea what my options were other than to level up, and I really didn't want to do that. The next day, after digging around in my PAL box trying to find some inspiration, I stumbled upon my Dumud that I rescued at the beginning of the game. This guy has an ability, Soil Improver, which increases the attack of ground pals in my party. After testing a bit with a Gumos, it seemed that having multiple Dumuds stacked this damage bonus. This had to be it, right? I'd cracked the code. Oh, we're cooking with gas now. I waltzed back into the fight with my Reptyro, this time carrying 2 Dumuds with me, and more failure. I was doing more damage, but it was only about a 15% increase over my best Reptyro attempt. I figured I'd keep stacking the bonuses. I got rid of my Gale Claw and went in with my Reptyro, 3 Dumuds, and a Wumpo in case the Reptyro got hurt, and better. I actually cracked 10,000 damage per minute, but it just wasn't good enough. As a side note, by this point, I'd rather consistently figured out Orserk's attacks. Even though this is hard mode, Orserk is not particularly hard. The real issue is making sure my pals stayed alive. I wound up withdrawing them from big attacks and sending them out right after, but this has the unfortunate side effect of reducing the amount of damage that I can do. It's necessary though. Orserk chunks my pal's health if I'm not careful. But no matter how consistent I got at the fight, my pal still needed a lot more damage to win. I was distraught. I accidentally blew up my base and just sort of wandered around thinking.
Oh, I'm so dumb. Why did I do that?
I could get into breeding and try to get a really good Reptyro. I could level up. I didn't want a big grind, and I didn't want to trivialize the fight by being too high of a level. I wanted to beat this fight under level 40, and I was already getting close to that. I was messing around in my third base near the Anubis when I decided to just chuck a ball at it and see what happened, and... I've been working so fucking hard. And I just captured it. It's a red ball. Honestly though, just because I had this thing didn't make me feel like I was going to win. He had higher stats and awesome moves for sure, as well as these cool traits, but was it going to be enough? I didn't want to get my hopes up. I went into Orserk with a party of Anubis, 3 Dumuds, and my Gale Claw, and here's how it went. There we go. That was my first attempt with the Anubis. To put this into perspective, my highest damage per minute out of all of my other attempts was about 11,700. On the other hand, Anubis was dealing almost 21,000 damage per minute. It was night and day. Anubis destroyed this fight. While I am a little disappointed that I couldn't get Reptyro to work, I do believe that it was possible. But man, this Anubis is strong. He's bought his way onto my permanent squad. What do I name him? How about... Thanks for watching, everyone. Subscribe for more.
Isn't life so amazing? Sometimes it can get crazy, but hey, that's okay.